I think one of the strangest things that's happening right now in modern life is that people are achieving things that they once wished for, prayed for, chased, with all their might. And then they get to this spot where they've achieved it and feel absolutely nothing when they get there. Or worse, they feel empty. And nobody talks about it because from the outside looking in, that life looks successful. They have a good job, good income, good title, good house, cool vacations. They got the dollar bills. They got the toys. They got the nice LinkedIn profile, and everybody's clapping. Meanwhile, internally, something feels off. And that disconnect, it confuses people because we humans, we were taught if I achieve enough, I'll finally feel enough. But achievement and fulfillment are not the same thing, right? And nobody talks about that. Nobody explains that, out here in the ethers. You can absolutely build a life that impresses people while quietly disconnecting from yourself in the process. And I've seen it over and, hey, we could sit over some tea and crumpets sometime and I'll tell you about my stories. People chasing goals, they've never actually sat back once they've achieved those goals to stop to examine, right? Like people climb the ladder only to realize halfway up they don't even like the frickin' building. And listen, ambition is not bad. Drive is not bad. Goals are not bad. BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals are not bad. But if your identity becomes completely fused with them, with productivity, with performance, with validation and achievement or proving yourself, eventually your nervous system starts asking questions that your resume cannot answer. Like, do I even like my life? Do I even want what I'm chasing? When do I actually feel present in the moment? When do I feel anxious? When I stop moving? And who am I without the achievement? That last one is a big one because some people are not addicted to success. They're just addicted to distraction. Achievement becomes emotional camouflage. And as long as they're chasing, building, performing, achieving, posting, winning, they never have to sit long enough to hear themselves think. That's why slowing down can feel terrifying for some people. Silence removes the anesthesia. And I know that sounds ridiculous and it kind of sounds intense, but just look around. We have people answering emails at dinner, scrolling during movies, listening to podcasts while walking, watching Netflix while checking Instagram, while mentally preparing for tomorrow's to-do list. Humans are deeply, deeply uncomfortable being alone with themselves. Think about the last time you sat at out at a dinner table. I notice this all the time when my husband and I go out and you look over to the left or right and you see friends, couples, families, all of them on their phone. They are out spending their hard-earned dollars and cents, and instead of embracing connection and the moment and the silence that may exist, they're all on their phones. And I think part of that comes from this cultural obsession with external metrics. We have created a world where people know their follower count, but they don't know where they are on a scale of 1 to 10 in their emotional state. People track calories, but they don't track how rested they are or how at peace they are with their life. People optimize productivity, but their relationships are quietly in starvation mode. People know how to build businesses, but not internal capacity. And then one day they wake up, they're exhausted, they feel disconnected from everybody around them, emotionally flat, and so freaking confused because everything else looks fine, right? And that's the trap. And why I say it's fascinating is research out of Harvard's longest running adult development study found that the quality of our relationships is one of the strongest predictors of long-term happiness and health. Not titles, not money, not status, connection, meaning, belonging. But modern culture keeps selling humans this idea that happiness lives somewhere out there. Somewhere's out there externally, somewhere's in the future, after the next promotion, after the next milestone, after the next body goal, after the next level of success. And so people walk around spending their entire lives emotionally outsourcing their worth to future achievements. And you know what? That's exhausting. And it creates humans who don't know how to feel okay unless they're accomplishing something. And you see this a lot with high achievers. Rest is an icky word and it feels uncomfortable, and stillness feels unsafe, and doing nothing feels lazy. Their nervous system only recognizes worthiness through movement. That's not freedom. That's not fun. That's performance-based self-worth. And eventually the body pushes back because humans are not designed to live in permanent achievement mode. Your nervous system needs rest and play and connection and meaning and safety, laughter, and some stillness, not just output. But we built this culture that rewards output. But while we're doing that, we're quietly neglecting the human behind it. And then people wonder why they feel emotionally hollow despite outward success. And I think one of the most dangerous things humans do is postpone their lives. I'll slow down later. I'll rest later. I'll enjoy things later, when the vacation comes, when the promotion comes, when the debt's paid off. I'll spend time with the people I care about later. Later becomes a moving target. And suddenly, weeks, months, years pass by. And that's why I've just become so deeply interested in this idea of alignment, because success without alignment creates internal friction. And humans can feel that friction even when they can't explain it. It's the feeling of being disconnected from your own life, the feeling of performing instead of living. And sometimes the bravest thing that a human, that you can do, is stop asking what looks successful and start asking what actually feels meaningful to me, not to them, to me, to you, right? Such a different question. Much harder question, one that you got to sit with for a minute, but probably the one that matters the most in terms of your joy and your ability to flourish and feel happy. Because at the end of the day, humans are not starving for more achievement nearly as much as they're starving for connection and peace and meaning and the ability to just feel fully inside themselves alive, just to feel good in here. And no amount of external success can replace internal alignment. Eventually, as I always say, your nervous system knows the difference. So what's the goal here? The goal is to answer that question. What actually feels meaningful to you? And how do you start building a life where that hits the calendar before everything else? I know you got responsibilities. I know you got things you're accountable to. I know you have things you're chasing. And I'm not saying any of that has to go away. I'm just saying, instead of asking what looks successful, start asking what actually feels meaningful to you and start living your life that way. Have an awesome day.